Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Markets at a Glance series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So feel welcome to the session. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the live comment section. So today, we'll be looking at quite a number of things. So first things first, I want us to look at what happened in the morning, what is in store for us in the economic calendar. And once we get through this, then we also get to look at the key technical analyses, price level, price action patterns, and all that. So let's start by doing a mic test. So if you can hear me clearly, kindly type hi on the live comment section, and these will confirm that everything is working just fine. Awesome. So from the economic calendar perspective, we don't have much happening in the markets today. So it's what I normally describe as a price action trader's territory. This is the territory where the price action trader is best suited when there is no sudden news currently happening in the markets, causing some spikes in volatility. And these can often result in very nice price action patterns that can be quite predictable. So as you can see, we didn't have much any major highlight news. Yes, we had the NAB business confidence coming in at a +2, slightly higher than the previous reading. We also had the German CPI, which came in slower than expected on the year, but on the month it was as expected. Then a speech by FOMC hacker, member hacker. This hasn't caused much volatility. So the key dominating news in the market is one, we have Moody's credit rating, basically lowering credit rating for 10 American banks. That's a key market news driving the market today. The other one is Italy, basically passing a law that would charge a new tax on banking. It's a one-off tax that is looking to take about 40% of excess profits by commercial banks. So as a result of that announcement, we have had a big sell-off in European equities. So American equities also continue taking losses. And going forward for the rest of the day, those are the key highlights. And of course, oil markets have been completely weak. I don't know why, but the price action is quite telling. So first things first, I remember analyzing this early in the morning during the market snapshot series. We expected gold would eventually break this particular triangle, and later on it came to pass. So this afternoon, gold has broken the triangle and then proceeded to move further down, basically retesting the non-farm payrolls low. So this is the lowest price that we saw during the NFP on Friday, and now you can see that the market has closed through that level, and there's still some more momentum, and we could be seeing the market going straight for this particular trend line. So the new target now remains 1,918 or 1918. So there is a good chance we'll continue seeing some further downside momentum in gold. And this is especially considering the fact that the US dollar index seems to be pretty strong today, same as yesterday. So there was some form of sell-off towards the end of the day. But today you can see how it has closed higher towards last week's high. So with this in mind, we have seen the pound USD breaking a major trend line that was holding for the last 3 days. And after breaking these, we have seen some good momentum. And right now the market is testing the Friday's low. So if we continue seeing this momentum, then this might be an interesting area to target. But then if this one is holding, then we could be seeing some form of pullback. So I know a lot of traders have enjoyed the momentum that we have seen early this morning, and I'm expecting we are going to continue seeing the same going forward. So apologies for the noise in the background. I want to work on that for a moment. All right, apologies for that. It's my colleagues. They didn't realize I was holding this class. So they were having a happen. And of course, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to type those questions in the live comment section and I'll be responding to those questions right away. So I see a lot of people have joined. Hello, Ruthie, Marcy, Muiti, Leonard, Malombe, Joseph, Lemuel. We have Max, J Squad, Kevin. Thank you for joining. And of course, I've seen your request for me to check on USD JPY. So let's proceed with the session. So having seen the pound testing this area here, you can see the last 1 hour was representing a rejection. So if the current hour basically covers the red candlestick, meaning that it crosses somewhere around the opening of this red candlestick, I'll show you this. So if it crosses around this area or even higher, then that would be confirmation that the pound USD has reversed. But then if this doesn't happen and the market closes lower, then you'll be looking for a continuation towards the previous low. And that might be an interesting target for pound USD traders. So for Euro USD, it's a clean break. After retesting this particular resistance, you can see the strong momentum. And this strong momentum was looking to retest today's low. We cruised through that efficiently without having any problems. And as you can see, there was another swing that we recently experienced on Friday. So this seems to be holding on quite well. And now you can see that the market is almost forming a morning star. So it doesn't imply that the morning star is formed. Remember, this candlestick has not crossed yet, and it will close at the top of the hour. So you just have to be patient until the close of the hour. So if you're still in a short selling position, just hold tight. But then if the close of the candlestick is red, then we continue targeting lower prices. And of course, the low price in target here will be 1.09142. So as for USD JPY, I mentioned early in the morning that even though we are seeing this pullback happening here, there's a good chance that with a strong dollar, there will be more momentum, and we are well on course to completing this pattern. So we all know this pattern and how it plays out. So you have a market that is unable to form higher highs, and then eventually it forms the C curve. So I'll try to move this so I can draw it easily. So this is what I'm talking about, the market moving from this area, going down and then back up. So I expect the market to complete this particular pattern. Maybe it will be just a cup or even a cup and a handle. So it's quite normal, especially for markets that have reached multi-period highs. I would call it that. So in this case, we know it was a multi-period high for the USD JPY. Last time we saw the price at this area was all the way back on 7th of September. Sorry, 7th of July, and now we are on 8th of August. Very interesting take. So in this case, I expect the market to continue pushing higher and at least retest last week's high. So last week's high is 143.878, but long term, I believe and expect that the market will be going back to retest the 145 price level. So for now, from the H1 chart, you can see the struggle the market is experiencing. So whenever you see such a struggle, it basically implies there is some form of consolidation. And consolidations are so easy to track. You just have to keep drawing your trend lines on smaller time frames. And in this case, monitor the break. So there is a good chance you'll be seeing a break to the upper side, but it's not guaranteed. You'll never know. So as I always say, these sessions are not investment advice. They are not a recommendation to trade. So this is purely educational. And of course, if this is your first time here, make sure that you go through the beginner classes available on FX Pesa YouTube, where we cover the novice to pro series, and these will help you understand some of these concepts. So for USD CAD, it's a clean break. So after the triangle that we saw here, I remember mentioning that there was some form of consolidation here. So if I take this area and this, you can see the kind of triangle the market was obeying. So here, the market moved sideways for like, I would say, for like 3 days. So this is our swings. And then the break happened earlier this morning. And since then, you can see the overall result is the market making an impressive momentum. And right now, it seems like the move is already exhausted. So if you didn't buy in the morning, then perhaps you might want to wait for some form of pullback so that you can enjoy the rally, or even the market could enter into another consolidation. So notice how it worked the previous time. Market went up, a pullback, and then a continuation. Then it entered this consolidation zone, rallied again, and you could be seeing a similar pullback representing another market entry. So for gold, you can already see the price making a movement back upwards. So as I mentioned, the NFP low was the key price level here. So if gold was to cross this way and completely cover the previous candlestick, then it would indicate that prices have reversed and lower prices have been rejected. So this would be a really strong bullish signal for gold traders. So remember, a majority of traders who went for a short position here after the market broke towards the lower side, they were targeting to make a profit and exit when the market gets to this area. So now that we are seeing the price pushing back, if it crosses around this area or higher, then it would be a signal indicating that there was a rejection of lower prices. There's a strong entry by buyers, so it would be a very nice entry point. But then the hour has not closed yet. So if the price of gold closes below this low here, then it would be a signal to continue trading gold further downwards. So I'm hoping that that much is clear. So for Audi USD, we saw the market breaking another trend line here. So after it found bottoms here for the last 3 days, it broke this level yesterday. Volatility almost died out, and then the market eventually broke to the lower side, and now it seems to be reversing. So the close of this particular will be very interesting because you could be seeing some buy positions here, especially if there's more bullish momentum. So notice how the dollar index is also beginning to reverse. So you have to be aware of that. And then when you look at the US equity indices, we saw the big sell-off happening after the market retested the trend line. And now you can see the big rejection that happened on this bottom here. So the market had tested the bottom 3 times. And now upon getting to that bottom, there was a strong rejection and the candlestick closed higher. And now there's a good chance we'll be seeing the market moving towards the upper side. But the upside potential is not that big. So if the market goes up and gets to this point, it may not even justify the reward you are getting versus the risk you are taking. So sometimes whenever you have these kinds of situations, the best thing is to be patient and potentially wait for a break. So if the market rallies here, then breaks the trend line, then that would be a signal to go for a buy position. But then if a break doesn't happen around this area, then the opportunity is not that much. But then for the Dow Jones, it has been a clear rejection of resistance. The market is still going down, so there's still some more room for downside. So this one seems playable. Same case as SP 500 for the rejections. The market rallied all the way down, goes to our target of around this area, and then dropped even further. So if you look at the lowest price that we have seen with S&P 500, it's almost the same as the previous low that we saw on Friday. So if the market completely rejects this area, then the potential for upside remains quite possible. So we just have to wait for the close of this 1 hour candlestick, which will give us a direction of the market. So I think the best opportunity today seems to be appearing in one of the most unexpected pairs, and this is Brent oil prices. So you can see a very clear rejection of lower prices. There's a trend line that was respected perfectly. I would say this was a perfect market respecting this particular trend line. So trend line was holding on very well the first time, second time, and the third time. And now what we are seeing here is the market dropping, and once it gets to the trend line, finding some very nice support, and now it's seemingly going back upwards. So from the 4-hour chart, this is how it looks like, and from the 1 hour chart, this is how it looks like. So if this candlestick was to cross around this area here, then it would create a potential trading opportunity where you would go for a buy target around this area here, which is a nice area to target, considering that it was the high of the day today. And of course, the stop loss would go just below this pattern here. And of course, the upside potential could be even higher than this. So I'm only choosing the simplest target, which is nearby as the previous high or the high of the day. So European equity indices have been on a sell-off since morning. So if you look at the French 40 index, a big sell-off got to support, a strong rejection here, and we could be seeing these indices beginning to recover. So remember what I said, the Italian government basically passed a new windfall bill to charge 40% tax on banks' excess profits. And following the announcement, there was a big sell-off in banking equities in Italy, and that spread across Europe. So we began seeing these equity indices selling. So the announcement was made yesterday. So since early morning, I would say for the Asian session as well as the London session, it was just a straight up sell for these equity indices. But then from what we are seeing, the price action we are seeing across the last 2 hours, it's a rejection of lower prices and the market beginning to recover. So in this case, after the break here, the market goes down, fails to continue, and now changes direction. So in this case, depending on how the market crosses this particular hour, there's a good chance that we will be seeing the market recovering some of the losses. So it's the same thing for the French 40 index, though the recovery may vary between one chart and another, but then this could be plausible or even possible for the next couple of minutes. And then we have the UK 100 or the FTSE 100. So it also had broken a trend line here after forming these lows. So after breaking, they notice how the market ran out of steam. And now there is a potential that the markets could change direction, especially judging from the two candlesticks that just happened to have very huge tails on the lower side. And if this candlestick crosses green, then that would be a confirmation that the market is now headed in the opposite direction. So Bitcoin seems to be the most bullish one today. So after ranging here for a while, following the rejection yesterday, we have seen the market head straight for this particular high here. So I'm sure everyone can see this was the previous high, and the market has already hit that level. So now we observe this area for a potential break or a pullback. So we don't know what will happen, so we trade what we see. So in this case, you just be patient to see if there's a break. If there's a break, then you continue trading higher. But then if there's a rejection, then the market could potentially pull back to our support level of around 28,989. This is the support level here. So then we have New Zealand USD also forming some similar kind of rejection. So I don't think this is as strong as the previous ones, but it's a wait and see kind of a scenario. So at the top of the hour, we'll know whether buyers have entered this market or not, and that will form our decision, similar to the other charts we've been focusing on. Then there's a USD against the Swiss franc. So remember, I had mentioned that there is a high likelihood the market would bounce from this trend line, but that did not happen. So the dollar continued strengthening against the Swiss franc up until we go to this previous high. And now all we have to do is to observe the price action around this area to see if the reversal happens from this area or if the market continues towards the upper trend line and eventually gets to the top of the pattern here. So I think that's it for the day in terms of technical analysis. Remember, there is tomorrow, and there's quite a number of things that are coming up in the markets. So most important would be the Chinese CPI data. So CPI is short for Consumer Price Index, which is basically a basket of commodities that are commonly used by the average Chinese household. And once measured from time to time, you can tell how prices are changing. So in the previous reading, there wasn't much of a change, but now we're expecting the annual inflation to have dropped to negative 0.4%, which would mean that China is entering a disinflationary period. So a disinflationary period is where prices are falling, and as a result of prices falling, the currency is usually gaining strength. So when there is inflation, currency is losing strength or value. And in this case, we would be expecting to see the Chinese currency gaining strength in the markets. So then we'll be looking at the inflation expectations at 6 a.m. This is for New Zealand. This could also cause some volatility for New Zealand dollar traders. Then the most important news of the week, as I mentioned again and again, is the US inflation data, or CPI, which will be coming up on Thursday at 3:30 p.m. And of course, we're expecting inflation to experience a big spike towards the upper side of about 3.3%. So in the last 12 months, we have had consecutive reductions in inflation. So annual inflation has been dropping for 12 consecutive months, and that has been quite positive, especially in terms of Fed's expectations. But now, if we see a big spike in US inflation, it would imply one thing, and that is there would be a higher likelihood that the Fed will go for another rate hike, and this would basically or naturally strengthen the dollar. So now that we are seeing a very strong dollar in the markets, and I'll show you this. So this is the dollar index. Just a moment. So this is the dollar index, and as you can see, for the last couple of weeks, it has just been moving upwards. 1, 2, 3, and this is the 4th week. The dollar index is moving up. So if the CPI data comes in stronger than expected, then I'll be expecting the dollar index to continue strengthening. But then if it's weaker than expected, which is consistent with what the Fed is looking to achieve, that is, if inflation comes in at 3% or even lower, then we should be seeing the dollar index start to weaken, and that would allow other currencies to flourish against the dollar. So that's why it's a very important data point, a very good metric to measure the strength of the dollar, but then also a very good indicator to use when you're trading other currencies. So in this case, if there's a very low inflation, lower than 3%, I expect the dollar index to weaken, and that would allow us to trade, take bullish positions on pound USD, Euro USD, bearish positions on USDN, as well as USD CAD, and so on. And of course, for gold, it would be expected to be gaining against the US dollar. So for now, there seems to be an increased volatility in the markets. And this is as a result of the New York Open. So once the Americans join the market, they bring in more liquidity, and this can cause big spikes in the market, even though there's no news in the market. So from the 15-minute chart, you can see the big shifts happening in this chart, meaning that there is a lot of volatility, but we don't have a direction yet. So in this case, at the top of the hour, if the candlestick crosses near the open or even below, then it will be a continuation pattern indicating that the market is moving further back downwards. And of course, we all know about the concept of a retest. So whenever the market breaks a major trend line, sometimes a retest will happen. So in this case, we had a major support happening around 1930. So after the market broke the 1930 price level, it has gone back, retested the area, and now it could be time for a continuation. So we don't know whether this will play out as I am describing it, but then if the market closes very near 1924, which is the previous low or even lower, then that will be a signal that the market is looking to make a continuation, and that will give us the necessary confirmation to continue trading gold. So let me check if there's questions that you guys have presented. Check for me Euro USD. I've already done that. I thought GBP would be going up given fundamentals high inflation. Yes, sometimes you have the right thesis, but the wrong timing. And it also happens to me too. Sometimes I do the very best of analysis on a chart. I do my fundamentals, I do the technicals, and then eventually I get caught on the wrong side of the market. So this doesn't mean you are wrong. You just have to balance the fact that you're trading two currencies. So even if your analysis is saying that the pound will continue to strengthen, it doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes the dollar will be stronger in the market naturally, and it will suppress the pound for a while, but the initial thesis still plays out. So in this case, I still have a bullish bias, and this is for pound USD. So I still expect to trade this particular pair upwards. So from the forward chart, this is how it's looking. From this area here, I expect that the market will start forming some signs and start moving back upwards, given the interest rate situation between the two economies. So for now, if you take a longer time frame, such as the forward chart, You can already see that this particular trend line was broken for a while, but then the market immediately reversed, and now we are having another day the market is attempting to break that trend line. But then that trend line was based on 2 points. So the first point here, you will notice, I'll try and show you this. So the first point was around here. And now the market has extended way lower. So now you keep extending your trend line. So our trend line is now here. So in this case, if the market was to come back down and break this trend line, then we would have a bearish case scenario. But then that has not happened yet. And now that we are seeing the bearish momentum happening in pound USD, I don't think it will last much longer unless the dollar strengthens immensely. So for now, just be patient, observe price action and what happens. So if you didn't buy when the market was here or going downwards, just be patient, wait for confirmation. And once you have your confirmation, then perhaps you'll even have a better entry with a confirmed entry from other buyers in the market. So another comment here, our shilling is quickly losing value to the dollar. Why doesn't FXPesa have USD Kenya shilling pair? I wouldn't mind buying the pair. So the thing is, every time you are entering a position in forex, you are also trading the USD Kenya shillings pair. So if let's say you deposited money in your trading account, let's say 2 months ago, when you are doing, let's say 137, 138, and then you started trading from then on, and then today you are withdrawing and you realize that you are selling your dollars at a higher price, then you are naturally trading the USD Kenya shilling pair. So just by depositing money in your broker trading account, or what you call the margined account, just by depositing, you have already executed a trade in USD Kenya shilling, and in that case, you are long the dollar and short the Kenya shilling. So by going for even more positions, then it basically amplifies your opportunity. What's your perspective on USD CHF or time frame and pound yen? So I think I've already checked USD CHF. So on the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have. It's a market that is forming higher highs, higher lows. So it's basically a reversal. The dollar is attempting to gain against the Swiss franc, but then it's pretty clear. We are seeing these breaks happening. So after the market formed this sideways momentum here, where the highs were getting lower and lower, we saw a break happening here, which basically implies that there's more room for upside. But then after getting to this area here, I mentioned it's a wait and see kind of scenario following what we are seeing with the dollar index. So there is a good chance that the price could start reversing from this area, but we just have to be patient and wait and see how this price crosses, especially at the top of the hour. So if it crosses higher, then we continue trading higher. And of course, if it crosses lower, using the third candlestick as a benchmark here. So if the red candlestick crosses with the same body as this one, then it would be a confirmation of a bearish entry. Something similar to this. Market goes up, a small candlestick, and then a bear candlestick, but a very strong body. So if we happen to see something similar, then it will be a reversal. But if it doesn't happen and the market crosses higher, then we continue trading higher. So from the 4-hour time frame, I expect the market to retest the previous high, and if it retests and breaks, then another leg upwards. So I think the request was on USD Swiss franc. The last one is pound yen. So let's check the pound yen. So I'm very bullish on this pair. I expect the pound to be pretty strong in the market. Of course, over the last couple of hours, the pound hasn't been doing or holding up to the promise. But then from what we are seeing here, this could be the signal that the market has lost momentum back downwards. And it's time that the market completes this particular pattern. So I was expecting to see this cap complete, market get to the previous high and then form a handle. So the handle could also be tilted a little bit. So in this case, the pullback was well in order, but then my bias is that the pound continues strengthening against the Japanese yen. So for now, the current 1 hour candlestick is very important for me, especially if it were to cross at the same size as the previous red candlestick. So if this green body extends all the way up to this area here, then that would be a confirmation that the market is now going back upwards. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you on the next session. So remember, our newest episode of the Bullish Banter podcast will be airing tomorrow. So make sure to follow that on all our platforms. We have quite some good content, especially on what's currently happening with the Bank of Japan, and of course, what's happening with the US banking sector, US equities, and all that. So we maintain high quality for our clients.